I started playing when I was 14. I played in a group called the Grobs in Lewis in Sussex with Pete Thomas and Paul Skinner. Pete Thomas later went on to play with Elvis Costello as the drummer, where he's had a lot of success. We all moved to London at one point, and I met up with Robin Scott, who was from Sussex, and his brother Julian, who's a really good bass player and drummer. And I played with Robin, and we were offered a contract by EMI Records, which didn't amount to very much in the end. And we all went our separate ways. Robin went on to write pop music, which was a huge hit. And I started writing songs for a chap called Mike Berry, who was a singer who had quite a few hits in the 60s and had toured with the Stones and I think the Beatles. He played at the Cavern, and he was produced by Joe Meek, a legendary producer, and later Chaz Hodges of Chaz and Dave, who I met when he produced the records that of mine that were recorded for Mike. Through Robin Scott, I met a chap called John Lewis, a classically trained keyboard player who had a Moog synthesizer, which was a rarity at that time. This was 1979, 1980, and he played on pop music, as you know. Meanwhile, I was making a record called I'm a Computer, which I'll play you a little bit of.
Oh, show business.
Oh, show business.
Left is right is.
Backward, forward.
Inside out, shot by or sail it. Wrong decision not to go now. Here's the answer.
Don't ask questions.
See you later.
Calculator.
Voice decoder out of order. You're so square, so geometric.
I'm a computer.
I'm a Computer brings back memories. It's quite funny. I was playing with Julian Scott, and Robin's record Pop Music was becoming a hit as I was recording this song, and Julian was going to play with me. And as it became a bigger hit, Robin said to Julian, "You cannot play with Pete. You've got to come and play with me." So off he toddled. And I said to Julian, "Look, I've got this recording. It was booked at Maida Vale Studios for the BBC of I'm a Computer." I said, "I don't know anybody. I haven't got anybody. I haven't got a bass player. I haven't got a drummer, although I could play bass." I thought, well, I'll play the bass. All I need is a drummer. And he said, "Well, I know this bloke who you can play with." So he introduced me to this chap, really nice man, and, only young he was, very funny. He used to make, he was very good at doing sound effects, sort of, I don't know, he just did really good sound effects. I'll tell you who he wasn't, you might know him. Anyway, we went off. I remember driving to Tooting to hire myself a bass because I didn't even have a bass guitar, and this was imminent, this production of I'm a Computer. And this fella said to me, "I can play the bass." And I thought, "Look, you're playing the drums as it is. I don't think you really ought to try the bass. Just stick to the drums, which you're good at." So he didn't play the bass for me, and we did the recording. And he turned out to be a chap called Mark King. I don't know if you've heard of him. He became a terribly famous bass guitarist with a level 42. Quite amusing. Anyway, that version of I'm a Computer, I did a number of versions, one with him, and the one I did finally was with John Lewis and Pete Thomas again, who was again with Elvis Costello at the time, very kindly played the drums on it for me. And I got it played on Radio 1. It wasn't a big hit, but the funny thing is it's been revived lately. It's on a record called Music, Music, Music. I'll put the details on the screen. Anyway, moving on from there, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I was still writing little bits and pieces. I was doing what they call library music, which is writing music that's used in films, and I did quite a lot of horror music with Andre Jacquemin, who worked at Redwood Studios in Neal's Yard, and he was connected to Monty Python. He produced all their records, and through him I sang a number of adverts for Monty Python. I did the Jabberwocky advert on the radio, and what else did I do? I don't know. I worked with Andre and we did some things. We did a lot of horror music anyway, which is still used today, and I get money for that. But I still wasn't finding the success that I felt I craved. Not sure if I really wanted it, but that's what I wanted at the time. So I became a diver. I thought that was the next best thing. I became a diver and I worked in the North Sea. And I was there for 35 years, not always as a diver. Anyway, my life came and I had children. I was married, and then my wife unfortunately died. And then I wrote some other songs. I wrote a lot of songs, starting, I think, with a song called Home and Dry, which I wrote after I'd finished diving, and once all my romantic life seemed to be over and I'd finally come home from work in the North Sea, and it was a reflection of how I felt, the fact that I came back and there was actually nothing for me.
There you go again, walking in the room. There you go again, I can smell your perfume. Are you happy now? So happy now that I won't call your name, I won't cause you pain. You won't wake up in the middle of the night to go dancing in the rain. There were no tears left, so why am I not home and dry? Am I not home?
About the same time, I wrote another song called Coming Back, and I guess looking at it now, I didn't really think about it at the time, but obviously it expresses the same idea of coming home and finding things that aren't the same. But in this case, I'm coming home and it's whether I should come back, whether I should come back to the situation I was in at the time. I'd married again, and unfortunately things didn't work out. We were getting a divorce, or actually my wife was divorcing me, and I wrote Coming Back.
Just like a river flows to the ocean, and the sun that always brightens the sky. Look at the stars, the heaven above you. That's how I feel when I look in your eyes. So beautiful, so why are you so sad? And why is it so hard coming back?
And that was my way of putting my ideas across and explaining how I am, rightly or wrongly. I'm alive in this world just like we all are, and I felt I had a right and a duty and a place. I have a place where I can express myself, and that's what I want to do. I wrote Fun and Games. Fun and Games, again, is the same sort of thing. I like the guitar, and this has got a very unusual guitar, which reminds me of a record by Family. I can't remember what it's called now. But it was good, and I was doing all these records at home, and I was getting a drummer in when I could. I had a number of drummers. The guy who was an American drummer. But I like this song, although it is all about relationships falling apart. So terrible time for me, terrible time for the listener. Has to listen to it all. But anyway.
You wanna go, you say you need to challenge me and break me up. The answer's in my head, but then I break the cup. My Scrabble words will crumble and I'm choke, broke, no choke. I'm up against the ropes with you. Games, no more fun and games.
Coming up recently, I started writing disco songs. I found that new disco was the thing, and I didn't know what to write, and I enjoyed disco music. I always had. I've been dancing to it in the 70s, and it was great. So I thought, now's my chance, because this is a genre that I particularly like. And also, I didn't want to sing it because I couldn't sing it, but I got a girl in to sing it, and I did a record called This Is What the Fuss Is All About, and I put it under the name of Guku, which was the name I had originally when I made I'm a Computer all those years ago in 1980. It was the name I dreamt of. I had a dream at night. It was like God came and said, Guku. Oh, that's not a very godlike voice. Guku. You must call your group Guku.
You're so good, just take my hand. You're so good, Even if I rhyme, me. Wednesday is bad, so you gotta do squeeze play. Know where to run when you
I wrote Pass It On. It was about how my brother, it relates back to Lewis again, back to the Riverside Youth Club, the place I did my very first dance, which I believe now is kind of luxury flats. And Ian used to go there. Ian's my brother. He's not alive anymore. And he was allowed to go, and he learnt all these fancy little dance moves. But I was about 9 or 10, and my mum, of course, wouldn't let me go. But when he came back, I remember him distinctly standing in the middle of the front room, teaching me how it went, or showing me. He was kind of showing off, and I was doing the dance moves with him, trying to copy him. And that's where I got the idea of passing it on, passing on the information, the experiences we have throughout our life, passing it on to the next generation, because as I come to the end of my life at some point, it's nice for my children, or for perhaps people who listen to my music, to pass on information, pass on happiness, pass on fun, and pass on the good times we had. Talking of which, please subscribe and follow me. I've got very few followers on Spotify, even though I've got, 20,000 people listening to me, and I get about 2,000 or 3,000 a week listening, but they're not following me. Please follow me.
3 young boys, dancing men, never have a blue chin shave. Electric, my brother says. Before you're dead, my brother says. They both nod and I don't understand when they talk of becoming a man. So rest in peace, we've a right to pass it on. About the dancing, you just pass it on. Inside a part of my heart, just pass it on.
I then went on to write another song called Oh My God, which unfortunately, there's a trend here, there's a definite trend, but this was about a relationship that broke up. I met this girl, she was quite a bit younger than me, and I fell in love with her like you do, and she told me she loved me too, but I was always paranoid about how much older I was than her, and I remember her saying, it's in your head, it's just in your head, I don't care, and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, oh my God is something she said to me a lot. It was her expression when she was very happy and things were going well. She'd go, oh my God. And I thought it was funny that she did that. And it reminded me of her. And of course, when the relationship fell apart, I was the one going, oh my God, is it over? Oh my God, this is dreadful.
My girl is not my girl no more. She's battered me and slammed the door. She looks like Sophie Ellis-Bextor. She changed the phone so I can't text her. Exited to Exeter, and my fantasy is over. And I said, oh my God, my heart's in pieces. Oh my God, I'm biting my lips. She said, I can't give you what you need.
My last song is On the Far Side of the Hill. I've revised this. I did an earlier version of it, but I've redone it with a great Ukrainian guitarist, my friend Gail from France, who sings for me on my songs. And and I think it's good. I wanted to update it and do it the way I wanted it to be. It's already on Spotify, the earlier version, but this one will be coming out in a month from February, so March, sometime in March, and I hope you like it. So what's it about? Far Side of the Hill. Well, it's about the grass is always greener. It's about the idea that on the other side of the hill, for everybody, it always seems it's a little bit better. People have ambitions and they have dreams. Sometimes they're misguided and we all assume that everyone's doing better than we are, or things are much better. And it's about me explaining to my ex-wife that I'm not the person you thought I was. I couldn't aspire to be the person you wanted me to be, even though I tried. But the idea was that even though I thought these ideas and I tried to push you out of my mind, all I could do was see you. Every time I went to sleep, there you were in my dreams, coming back to talk to me. even though our relationship was over. And it was this kind of thing haunting me, and that's why I wrote that song. So I hope you like it. Please follow, like, and subscribe. If you don't know why people say that, it's because there's a little algorithm running up and down Spotify, running up and down YouTube, and what it does is it looks at videos like this and it says, lots of people like this. I will pick it up and pass it to other people. And that's what happens. Otherwise, it will say, nobody likes this. I won't promote it. And the promotion helps my music get around, helps me create more music. So like and subscribe. Thank you very much. I hope this was of interest to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
I don't think you